Montreal singer and songwriter Meryem Saci is known for her wide musical range. With the release of her new EP, Game of Life, she's decided to lean into her talents as a hip-hop artist. Meryem Saci joins me now in studio. Welcome to our Montreal.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So this is your first, it's hard to believe this is your first hip-hop project, because I know you've done rap, you've done R&B. I think it's fair to say you've done soul as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you want to go in this direction?
It's now part of my identity as an artist, and I think it took me a while to embrace it. Especially when you start off as a singer, there's always this little wall when you try to jump and do other styles as well. And I had so much respect for the craft. Hip hop was my school to learn English. So it kind of had this impact on me that was very educational, very emotional, and it became part of my identity as I went along. And I had so much to say that sometimes melodies couldn't contain it. And rapping at one point is a bit much. So because my love for the art form was so big, I wanted to get to a certain level before I could even call myself a rapper. And slowly but surely, it took a shape of its own. And I had people around me, including Nas J. Nas, which is the producer of this EP, and So-Called Media, who are my partners for this project, pushed me so much to make it happen. At first, we were just going to do one single together, and they just felt like my voice had to be heard, and that it's okay for me to just be everything that I am as an artist and not just put myself in one box. So we went ahead, had fun with it. I put my sauce in it with some singing, but I had to drop a little bit more bars for this one.
I love how you had to put more sauce in it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, we saw people artists coming out of the pandemic with things that they'd never tried before, and this is a perfect example of that. Like, was it during the pandemic that you kind of figured, I'm at home doing nothing, I want to do something different?
Yeah, definitely. Pandemic had a lot of reevaluation time going on, and especially as artists, we had to rethink so many aspects of our career and just of our lives, how we're going to go day to day when we're on the rhythm of shows, of running around to studios, and now you're just at home. So I set up my home studio, and I rapped before. I was part of a Nomadic Massive, and I had the opportunity to do a bunch of music that included raps. However, this time around, I got to truly sit with it and have fun with it, explore it in ways that I didn't before. And once the project came along, or it came to me, it went by super fast. Like, the beat comes on, I'm super inspired, it just flowed, So I knew I was not forcing it. That's how I knew it was the right time. And that 2 years, it seems, I can't believe it's, we're post it now.
It's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years.
Crazy.
But that time really allowed me to have just one-on-one time with myself and the microphone and my pen and pad.
But what did you want to explore emotionally on this record?
I wanted to find ways to express bits and pieces of my story and of my perspectives on how I'm navigating Earth. I'm navigating existence. And that's why I called it the Game of Life. I wanted to tap into the different feelings, like how do I feel when I want to be empowered, when I want to be motivated, when I want to be pumped, And so that's how it kind of started with Boss Up, and that was like the songs that gave me that little oomph that I was missing before. And other than that, it was just how can I actually tell a bit of my story and emotions with real ones, and something to remember, which is a bit of like, here, my life is a movie, but literally throwing in pieces about how I lived it without it being a pity party and or something that feels generic, just something that felt true to me and authentic. And I have a hard time getting deeper into my emotions and my story. So that was kind of like one of my first big steps into doing so through rap. So. And
this is the hip hop, rap, R&B. Was that part of how, like, the music that you grew up on? Like, because you weren't born in Montreal, right?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Algeria, and I did not speak English over there as well. So my perspective of music was a bit different. I fell in love with R&B and soul music, first and foremost, but my culture has nothing to do with that. So all the music that was surrounding me had nothing to do with any of what we know as mainstream music in the West. So I had influences of Shabi, of Rai, Andalus, Hausi. There was all of these different styles of music from my country, and especially music from the South, like Gnawa, Ahlulil. And these are the rhythms that shaped me up growing up, and I did not realize how much it was part of my cells, like of my DNA, until later on when I came to Canada and I had to go through this huge nostalgic, uprooted type of phase of struggle that I didn't know how to reconnect the bridges, and music did that for me. And as I started re-listening to music from my country, I just found myself singing along, dancing along, and nobody taught me to do that. It was just part of me. And now that's how, you know, full circle, later in life, I figured it's super important for me to find a way to create that sound that resonates in my spirit to the fullest. And that includes both worlds.
So what is the title, Game of Life? What does that mean to you, and why did you choose it?
So Game of Life came up at a last minute as the name of the project, because I looked back at the tracks, but originally it was within the song, the title song, Boss Up, that we first released, which was something that just gave me that feeling that, okay, nobody really knows what they're doing here. We don't have a protocol. We don't have a mode of operation that is like laid out to us, because one size does not fit all. And that's with everything, whether it's with your mindset, whether it's your body, whether it's your emotions, your upbringing, your struggles. We have so many things in common as human beings, but each story is individual and unique. So it was that moment where so many aspects of life, whether it's finances, relationships, love, or friendships, etc., and growth. So the inner work portion of life, the invisible portion of life. We don't know how to do that, really. We're not taught how to do that. And it takes generations and then generations, it seems, for us to get it right. And I feel like I'm part of that generation where I am breaking a bunch of trauma that is associated to me, not just from this lifetime, but from the lifetime of my ancestors as well. And I'm doing so many things different from the women in my family. So I realized that it's time for me to make my own game plan and to find a way to not just play along with life, but co-create it and own the game.
But that, and that's so, you have to have so much confidence to be able to do that, because as women, we're just, and especially women who are immigrants, we just can't fail. We're told we can't fail.
Absolutely.
And so there's such a fear of risk and of trying something new and going in a different direction, because we are aware of the consequences, or we're made aware of the consequences. When you first started going into the arts, and you know, music is an artistic career. Was your family like, can you just become an accountant, please?
I mean, except my mother. My mother is literally my guardian angel on earth. She believed in me ever since I was a small, little, tiny, you know, like piece of singing bubble. I was just wanted to sing ever since I was 2-3 years old. I was singing myself to sleep. So she was the number one believer in this process against all odds. So yes, family members, whether it's especially my father's side, who are just confused as to why am I still doing this, you know? And especially if you didn't reach diva status, like if you're not already Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, why are you even still doing this? And it's very hard for them to understand.
Absolutely. They want to protect you.
Yes, exactly. And to understand why this is so important when it's not considered something that doesn't present well back home, you know, per se. So I have to do it so well at a certain level where the recognition and validation is so wide, they just can't shut it down. And even with that, it's still getting shut down. So I've accepted that that's the reality. I detached from it because the closest person in my circle believes in me, and I'm doing it for her because she put in so much faith in this process for me and gave me the opportunities to go follow it. And literally now my whole side of my mother's family are my biggest fans, and I'm so grateful for it.
Well, very quickly, I want to talk about Nomadic Massive, because they're like a global supergroup. You've done a number of albums with them. What do you get? Like, what do you get from that experience in your solo career, like working with a group like Nomadic Massive, where they do have rap and hip hop and soul and every genre you could imagine, and people who can do all of those genres. There are also members who have their own solo careers.
Absolutely.
What did you get from working with that group that you sort of take with yourself as a solo artist?
Nomadic Massive felt like the permission slip I needed to truly embrace everything that I am as an artist and all the sounds that influenced me, and to have also pieces of our home being present in our art, you know? And it was just unapologetically, authentically what Nomadic Massive is, and it's not something you can copy or paste, right? So what it provided me was just that opening to understanding that there is no borders when it comes to this, and there is no one way of doing it. The one way of doing it is your way, and it has to be as real and authentic as possible. And it's a beautiful thing to have this fusion. It's a celebration. It's nothing else but that. So it's about connecting all these pieces and bringing pieces of home with you and traveling with it and allowing the audience to travel along with you. But without it being a gimmick, it's just something that has to be part of you and that is portrayed in the sound. And besides that, it was just the value of having a community, of having people that share similar values. And that is something that is not quantifiable, you know. It's very much high quality vibrations when you connect with folks like that, and I'm super grateful for it.
So when do we see you out on tour?
Working on it. Listen, we're independent artists.
I know.
We're independent artists, and we have to wear so many hats. We literally have to cover all of the aspects that a label does. And but I do think that
you're the marketing department.
Yes.
The booking department.
Yes.
The hair and makeup.
The management, the hair and makeup, the stylist, you know, the producer of your video clips, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you just have so much admin and so much management to do on the side that certain things do take a bit longer. Than when you have an actual machine and a full-on team working with you.
Yeah.
And I'm in the process of that, of building that team. And right now I have my first show on May 6th with End of the Week venue show. Sorry, I said that so wrong. But I'm having my first actual show on May 6th where I'll be showcasing the EP. And right now I'm working on building my first official show for June, which will be acting out like a double lunch, as I have another project coming up in June.
Oh my goodness.
With one of my favorite humans on earth and hip-hop legend Akhenaton from the group I Am. So I'm gonna have all of that come up. So by June, I'll be promoting my first official Meryem Saci show in Montreal. And so here's little steps towards that will build me up to have more shows this summer, hopefully, but it's in the works.
Can't wait. Keep our eyes peeled for that.
Yes, you have to come. I'm going to make sure you come.
Meryem, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
So much for having me.
That was Montreal-based R&B and soul artist Meryem Saci. Her new EP, Game of Life, has just been released.